Hello and welcome everyone to Twin Flames, the Great Spiritual Awakening podcast, where every week you can hear real life stories from those who answer the call of divine love. My name is Dennis. I'm a certified ascension coach with Twin Flames Universe and your host. And I've been on my Twin Flame journey for a couple of years now. And thanks to the teachings of union, I found my true Twin Flame that I'm living in union with now. And I am very happy to welcome here with me today for this episode, Kanisha. Hi, Kanisha. How are you doing today?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm really looking forward to talking with you because you have a very fascinating twin flame journey story. You found the teachings of union in 2018 when your twin flame journey began. And over the course of the years, you had a total of three false twin flame experiences, which is quite a number. And now you have found your true twin flame at the moment and you're in union with him. But I feel that because of the experiences you've had with so many false twin flames, you have, I feel, a lot of great insights to share about this whole topic of how do I recognize false twin flame, how do I recognize my true twin flame, which is really like one of the like main topics that everyone who's on the twin flame journey is like dealing with at one point when you because you're on this journey and revealing your twin flame. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your perspective and experience on that. But to begin with you at the very beginning of your journey, my first question to you is how did you find the teachings of Union, Twin Flames Universe back then in 2018? And when you did, were you looking for help with something specific or was it already like twin flame focused for you? Like what was the reason that you started looking for help?
It's a good question. So I started looking for help when I came into connection with my first false twin flame. And we knew that we had a pretty intense connection. We just didn't know what it was. So I was looking up soulmates and I came across the term twin flames. And I remember thinking, well, I hope we're not twin flames because that doesn't sound like fun to have someone mirror all of your deepest upsets to you and reflect those misbeliefs in alignment within you. So, as I went deeper into figuring out what twin flames were, I stumbled upon Jeff and Shalia's YouTube videos. And that is actually how I came into the open forum was through their YouTube channel. And for a little while, I was wanting to know more about twin flames until my false twin flame and I went separate directions. And then I kind of was just in a place where I didn't really care. It was just like, I don't want anything to do with twin flames. It's whatever. And I remember being in the open forum. I was moving through what felt like separation. It was very intense. And I just remember asking God for like a sign or an answer. And as I was feeling into that, I was guided to go back on YouTube. I was going to go look for a video from Jeff and Julia. And I came across this video that talked about PTSD. And
Mm.
so I clicked on it and I came to the realization that I had like 8 or 9 signs of PTSD.
Mm.
And I knew that if I was actually going to come into union with my twin flame, that this was something that was going to have to be healed.
Mhm.
And I wasn't quite sure how I was going to heal that. So I do remember asking God out loud, like, how do I heal this? How do I even start? And that same day, someone had posted in the open forum about a reading that they had gotten from my coach, Chrissy. And so I asked about this reading, and Chrissy put her link in there. And when I went onto her website, she talked about how she was helping soldiers heal their PTSD by using the mirror exercise. And there was God's answer for me. So I got a consultation with Chrissy and I started working with her more to just heal my PTSD. But as I started to go deeper into the mirror exercise and see how it was helping me heal and change my life, I realized that I would give this twin flame thing a try again because I really did desire my ultimate lover.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of how I came into the community.
That's beautiful. And how, if you would like to share, how did you go about healing PTSD? Like for people who feel like they might be experiencing that too. what would your advice be about how to do that and how did you do it? What was your
Yeah,
process?
so really it was starting off by the mirror exercise, but with working with Chrissy, she was already working with map in a sense. Like that was something that was very new, but that was the the direction she was coming from, was healing it through map. And so I would recommend anyone going through map, which is the mind alignment process. And I've done it twice myself. I am fully healed from PTSD, which is amazing. And I'm very grateful. And yeah, I would highly recommend it for anyone. But it was really just the basic of it was the mirror exercise and just going to the core of the upset and giving myself all the love that I needed. And then pretty much rewriting that story in my mind so that I didn't have to continue reliving the old story.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. And what impact did you feel that when you healed your PTSD back then? What impact did that have to you being open to going back to the classic twin flame journey, so to say, where you're like, okay, good, I choose to claim my union and really focus on the twin flame union part again?
Yeah. For me, it was knowing that I was already healing some of the core trauma that I had, and knowing that by healing it, I wasn't going to get a lot of that mirrored back to me by my twin flame. I think that was really the fear, was having to try to be in a relationship with my twin flame and have all of my stuff come to the surface and not know how to master being with my twin flame.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I started to find myself living life and being happier and actually being more open to love and open to connections, was kind of around the time where I was like, okay, like I do feel that desire in my heart to have my ultimate lover and my ultimate best friend. And I feel now that I have the tools to be able to do that peacefully instead of going in and out of separation all the time.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And that was your first false twin flame back then when you went into like focusing on the twin flame journey part again. So
Yeah.
during that time, what was going on with this person, and what kind of what was your journey with this relationship, and when did you begin to notice that, oh, that is probably a false twin flame?
So with this false twin flame, I kind of did the waiting game where I was looking at it from a soulmate perspective. He had decided to go back with the mother of his children. And so I did a lot of like trying to convince him that we were twin flames, a lot of trying to just like wait. that that doesn't work. And it wasn't until November of 2018, so this has been like a solid 11 months of being in the community,
Mhm.
where I had made the core choice that I was going to invest in TFAS and LPC. And the day that I had bought Twin Flame Ascension School, he actually blocked me from everything for no like apparent reason. He didn't say why. He didn't say like
Mhm.
nothing had happened. I just had to recognize that he was no longer on my Snapchat. And so I went to go check his social media and he blocked me from everything. And
Wow.
I had a little mini panic attack where I had posted in the open forum, like, what is happening? I was told that if I joined Twin Flame Ascension School, I'm going to come closer to my twin flame. And there's a few community members who had said, you know, maybe he's just giving you space to work through your upset.
Mhm.
And then Jeff had commented and said, or he is giving you space to allow your true twin flame to come in.
Wow.
And he had asked if I was willing to if I really wanted my true twin flame or if I just wanted the person. And I was like, well, I want my true twin flame. And so he guided me to just do the work and allow things to unfold. And that if I were to do the work and really do what I'm asked when it comes to the work, that I was going to come into union with my true twin flame, and that was inevitable. So I had to trust that. Um, but it definitely was a deep upset within me that I had to heal the core upset around attachment,
Mhm.
which is probably why I went moved through quite a few twin flames or false twin flames, was that deep core upset about attaching and uh, allowing myself to really be open-minded to who my true twin flame could be.
Mm-hmm. What exactly do you mean with attachment?
So with attachment for me, I was attached to what I thought my journey was supposed to look like, who
Mm-hmm.
I thought my twin flame was supposed to look like. I also was attached to seeking love outside of myself. I was attached to finding validation and reassurance outside of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so until I really healed this at the core, I had just experienced places where I was still holding on to like the old way of living, old programming. And with my first false twin flame, he really helped me start to see where I was attached to toxic relationships is really what it was. It's what I grew up in. It was a very toxic family dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I would find something that felt like security or safety, I would just like cling on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a big one for me to have to learn that my security, my safety and stability was from within and was from God and not from someone outside of me.
Okay. And was that something like this healing that you just talked about? Was that something that already happened with your first false twin flame, or that happened later on with the ones that followed after that?
It was kind of like different places within my life. So with the first one, it was that. My second one was he actually helped me heal a lot around my upset around my father. I had a deep abandonment issue with my biological father, and it's funny to say this now because I've definitely healed it, so I don't resonate with it anymore. But I used to say growing up, like, I will not date Black men. I will not date men of my race because I had such a deep abandonment upset with my biological father. And so by having my second false twin flame in my life and pursuing him as my true twin flame, I knew that this was something I had to heal at the core. And as I finally got to this place of really healing it, my false twin flame, my second one, vibed out of my life, but my biological father vibed deeper into my life.
Wow.
And so I have a really loving relationship with him now that I've healed that upset.
That's really beautiful. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So, kind of staying a bit with your first false twin flame, with that person, when did you start to realize or kind of think about, question whether that is actually your true twin flame?
When I got to the place of where it didn't matter to me whether or not he was my twin flame or not,
Mm-hmm.
and I continued to just claim my harmonious union, and I continued to really just love myself in that place. And I got to this place where it, like, again, like it didn't matter. And around that time, he actually had, I was going to say proposed to his girlfriend, but she proposed to him and
Mm-hmm.
they got married. So I was like, that is not the same core choice here that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like I had no attachment to him anymore. And the more that I had really learned about myself, the more that I actually did not want this person anymore.
So it was kind of like a natural process where
Mm-hmm.
he just more and more obviously showed you that he wasn't making the same choices as you, and you kept healing, and
Right.
like
Yeah.
kind of
And it
just
just kind of,
oh,
yeah, just got to this place where like I realized all the things that I thought I wanted in a relationship with him, or all the things that I thought I desired in him, weren't actually the things that I wanted at all. So yeah, it's just getting to know yourself more. That's why the love list is so important. I also could see that he probably only matched about 25% of my love list. And a lot of that also revolved around life purpose. There were places in his life where he chose to really stay stagnant and wanted to just stay in the same place.
Mhm.
And that's just not where I was. And so, yeah, vibrationally, I could tell that we just weren't the same vibration.
Makes sense. What was that? Because I know like one thing with like false twin flames is like the whole thing about how false twin flames is they're called false twin flames for a reason, because you don't know whether they are false twin flame until you really walk the revealing process and do the healing that they're there to show you. So for you, when it comes specifically to what you said with the love list, because that's really interesting, because I've heard that and I've experienced that for myself, that with false twin flames, you have your love list and then you don't even look at the places where they don't match you, or you kind of like have like a blind spot in that space. So what would you say was it for you that helped you to kind of turn that blind spot into a conscious spot where you were finally able to see the truth of what was going on and not like project what you wanted onto the person?
Absolutely. First of all, I had to really look at, am I showing up in this space that I desire this person to show up in my love list?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're truly my twin flame and I'm not showing up in that place, they're going to reflect that back to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part was I found myself like being attached to their potential instead of really paying attention to their actions. That's been a big one for me is like, um, I'm listening to their words, but their actions aren't following.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to really release attachment there. Like, what are they truly showing me? And do they align with me here? And if not, are they open to aligning with me here?
Mm-hmm.
And in the places where I desired to see if they're open to aligning with me there, my false twin flames were like, no, I don't want to. I don't desire to. And I would continue working through the block and I would feel a shift in me and a change in me. And I would be at a place where it no longer bothered me. But they would all of them were like, nope, I don't want to meet you there.
Mm-hmm. I think what you're talking about is very significant because what I feel like can happen with false twin flames is that you kind of think that because if you've never been with your twin flame, you don't know how quickly your healing is meant to be reflected back to you. And
Yes.
you think that, you're doing your healing and it takes like 10 times more than what it actually takes. It's like with
Mm-hmm.
false twin flames, you can get into the space where you almost like gaslight yourself into believing you have an upset because you
Yep.
think that's your person, your twin flame, and you mirror it and then it doesn't change and you think you still have to hear that. And I feel that's
Mm-hmm.
really the tricky part with false twin flames to really recognize they come into the space, as you've mentioned, with this honesty and really looking at it. Okay, what is this person really doing? But yeah, my question to you is, how did you manage to navigate this like fine line between, okay, when is it really my upset and when am I just gaslighting myself into an upset because I believe that's my twin flame when they're actually not?
Yeah. So my coach really helped me with this. She had made a comment like, okay, he is not changing in this place. And he has made it very clear that he does not desire to change in this place. So do you feel that you are changing in this place and making a core choice to heal this pattern? And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yes. And so then I would always revert back to the book where it goes over the false or the nine signs of the false twin flame. And a lot of the times I would revert back to that, but it was really just my communication with God. I would ask God, like, can you please reveal this relationship to me? When I finally got to the point of like, I've done what I needed to do. I continue to heal the same block and the same pattern. I'm really coming to a place of recognizing I'm not doing this within myself. And so God, please reveal this person to me. And without a doubt, I would do a flip in the book where you just kind of like skim the book and do a flip, and then I would land on nine signs of a false twin flame. and, and so I had to trust God in that space. And I would make the choice to release attachment to them, to just choose myself. And they just naturally would uh, just leave. They would make a choice that I don't want to do this anymore, or it just came to the place where it's like, nope, like this is not my person. And I feel at peace with letting this relationship go.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So to just kind of go back to like your timeline of your journey. So you mentioned your first false twin flame and then your second who then like wiped out. After
Mm-hmm.
your second false twin flame, were you expecting to have a third one? I mean, I guess you never expected, but like, I mean, to rephrase my question, like when you have a couple of false twin flame experience, I imagine that you come a bit into a space of, okay, good. How can I know that like the next person I open up to isn't going to be a false twin flame again? So how did you go about like feeling safe in opening up to a relationship and being willing to dive in again with a new person and explore that, because that's not something that you just do kind of on the side. You really went all in with every person to reveal them.
Yeah, it was having to just keep in mind and continue to put in the forefront of my mind that only love was real,
Mm-hmm.
and that each person that I would explore, like their soul was here to help me heal. That was really importance for me. It was just really working on not attaching to the person, remembering that they're here to guide me to my twin flame. I literally felt like each person like handed me to my twin flame in a sense. And I really just desired to become the best version of myself is really what it was. And so as I continued to make that choice, I was like, okay, there's fear here. I have the opportunity to go in and love in this space and learn something. And I either learn a lesson or I come to the realization that this is my true twin flame.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really just the desire of being with my true twin flame, the man that God created me for. And so if that meant that I had to learn some lessons with another person, I was open to it. Like my desire for my twin flame was 100%. My union was my for focus.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that this is, I guess, kind of a bit of a trick question, but would you say that having a false twin flame experience is something that like one should try to avoid? And add on to that, do you think that it's actually something that can be avoided?
Um, it probably could be avoided. You might not have to go through so many to get to your true twin flame. One of the things that me and my true twin flame like to joke about is we never said we were the fastest learners, but once we learn it, we learn it. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of a big thing for me was again coming back to recognizing that all of the love that I desire was within me, that I didn't have to seek anything outside of myself. And once I really started to do that, I started to really honor my value, honor my worth, and honor my divinity. And once I got into that place, I was in this place where I'm like, nope, that doesn't align with me. I'm not going to even bother. Nope, that doesn't feel good. Let me feel into that. No alignment. I'm not going to bother. So I learned how to move through it faster than before. And it was just because I was really just recognizing my truth and
Mm-hmm.
what I really truly desired and not settling in any space.
Mm-hmm. That's powerful. And in your specific case now with like the three fourth swim teams that you had, would you
Yeah.
say that that helped you come to your true twin flame faster than if you had to do it without the fourth twin flame experiences?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was because before I had people who would mirror things to me. My children are great mirrors to me. So I was able to do that. But I didn't have someone like intimately in
Mm-hmm.
a sense of like a romantic partner to kind of show me where I still had codependency or I still had this nature of needing, especially validation was a big one for me. I really had to work through abandonment upsets. And I really feel that my false twin flames really helped me come to that place of knowing that I can't be abandoned. I mean, every once in a while, the feeling will still come up, but I'm now in the space where I'm like, God doesn't abandon me. So I'm going to let go of this illusion and this false belief and remember my truth.
Mm-hmm. So in your case, then like your fourth swim flames really helped you, kind of like acted as a like speed up extra
Yeah,
or something.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say I wouldn't do it any differently. I think I would be, if I could go back, I would be more honest with myself in
Mm-hmm.
certain places. That
Mm-hmm.
was a big one, is like really having to just be really honest with myself and recognize where I had my blinders on. But my journey unfolded perfectly, and having to experience the false twin flames, I have nothing but just unconditional love for them in the way that they help me grow in my journey.
Mhm.
And I pray that they all find their twin flames because they deserve to be with their true twin flame. But yeah, I appreciate the way that my journey unfolded, and I would do it again to get where I'm at.
Mhm. So before we move into talking about your true twin flame and how you guys met, which I'm already excited to hear about, to kind of close up this topic regarding false twin flames, my question to you is, what would your advice be for people who are on a twin flame journey and they don't know how to reveal someone as a false twin flame, or how to, just go about this entire process? Like, what would you say are the, I don't know, top five things with kind of like, okay, do this. These are like the most important things to keep in mind and do to quickly reveal a false twin flame.
The first one is invest in an ascension coach.
Mhm.
So there's many times where I wanted to just give up and throw in the towel. But my ascension coach was very patient with me and really helped me see things that I couldn't see. I really like to think of it as like, how we all have a football coach. The football coach can see the entire field. The player can only see where they're standing at the moment and maybe down the field. But with an ascension coach, they are trained to be able to see things that we can't see and help guide us into that place of peace and love so that we can heal the core upset so we don't have to continue to take that upset into the next relationship, which is what I felt like. I felt like I never really worked on the same core upset with each false twin flame. It was something a little new to help me really ground into my truth and who I was. The second one is make friends in the community. Like, I am so grateful for the friends that I have in the community. We all work together to help each other heal through upsets. We're all moving through the same upsets. They look a little differently. And so it just reminds you that you're not alone and that you have your spiritual family here. And it really does take your spiritual village to come into harmonious
Yep.
union. And so those two are really important. And then, of course, just being in the work, there's times where I felt so stuck. And then I would go to a class, and Jeff and Julie are helping a student work through the same upset. And I'm able to clear it much faster instead of waiting for a coaching session or waiting for one of my friends to be free. It's like I learned that just going to God, He had the answers for me, and I could either find them wherever He guided me to, which was either a class or to reach out to my coach or to reach out to a friend.
Mhm.
Um, but those three were really my top. And then I'm in the book all the time. I'm doing flips in the book or rereading it all the time, and so it's just really the work all together. It's there's so much love there, and there's so much to receive in that place. It's just having to release your resistance and choosing to receive all of your good, receive all of the help that God has for you in order to attain your harmonious union.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely. And actually, a quick follow-up question on that is, what would you say are like the red flags of a false twin flame? If you could make a list of these red flags show you that this is a false twin flame, what would you put on?
Okay. The first one is they just don't desire to go deeper with you, is really what it is. It's a very surface level relationship. It really doesn't feel like there's any depth. I found that it felt like I was kind of having the same conversations
Mm-hmm.
with my false twin flames. Like, we are just never going deeper in that space. The other one was I never really felt at peace in their space. There was always kind of this like underlining nervousness or like anxiousness around them. And it always kind of felt like I was, in a sense, trying to be not really trying to be something that I wasn't, but like I couldn't allow myself to just be me and just relax into who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, The other one was definitely the places where I had to continue to heal, heal, and heal. And it looked like there was no changes happening, even though I felt the changes within me. And I could see that everything else was changing and shifting except for this person. So I would say that those were probably my top three. Um, and then again, it's like once I really asked God to reveal this connection to me, I mean, when you ask God, you shall receive, is how I've learned. And you had asked me, like, was I expecting to go into a third false twin flame? And I was just like, no. But when I think about it, I do remember asking God, God, I just want my twin flame. So if you can just like give me like one person to work through all of it with so that I can just get there, or just give me my twin flame, that would be great. And so I went through that last person who really helped me uproot a lot of things in a very short period of time. And then it came to this place where that person really only desired just a sexual relationship. They didn't want a commitment. They didn't want uh, to have a relationship with God. That was a huge one for me. It was someone who didn't desire to have a relationship with Source in any type of way. And so, yeah, those are some really big red flags that I would look at.
Hmm. I really love what you're talking about, like what you just shared with um yeah, especially what did we talk before with kind of that, like you're always kind of in this like hamster wheel of always the same thing happening. And also that part where you mentioned that like you actually called in like your false twin flame. And I think I just want to mention at this point that like with false twin flames, I feel like, sometimes it's kind of like, of course, when you're on the twin flame journey, you want your true twin flame. But like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, and what you shared really demonstrates that beautifully, is that it doesn't matter who you are healing your upsets with, because whether you do that with a false twin flame or a true twin flame, you are taking the fastest route to your
Yeah.
harmonious twin flame union. And it's just about, if God puts a person in front of you and says, okay, that's your twin flame person, explore with that person, then you heal until you come to the realization, okay, this is my twin flame or it isn't. And
Mhm.
regardless of what's the outcome, it was there to serve you.
Absolutely. Yep.
So yeah, I love, like, your story is a perfect example of that, really. And with that being said, let's move into hearing about how you actually came to find and meet your true twin flame. How did that happen?
So yeah, I actually have known my true twin flame since high school. I do recall asking God, like, I want to know, like, I want the man that you have for me. At this point in time, we did marching band together, and I thought he was very cute. I was attracted to him. And that had gotten back to him at some point. And so I thought this is why he like didn't want to be around me. But when we talk about it now, he's like, he has no idea what I'm talking about. He's like, I don't remember any of this.
Wow.
But in high school, I was probably a very turmoil time for me. I did not like myself. I was definitely in the space of like self-loathing. And so he was never mean to me directly, but anytime I ever tried to go in the space that he was in, he would naturally go the other direction. And so there was that repelling energy that was happening there. And I just didn't understand it. I was just like, this man does not like me. And it's just because he thinks I think he's cute. But really, he was just mirroring to me my deep upset within myself. And so last year in July, as I was letting go of or I just came into my third false twin flame relationship, I had reconnected with him through a mutual friend. My mutual friend was having a weekend getaway for his birthday, and he was like, I would like for you to come. He named off the people who were going. And I was like, nope, I'm not going because Eliud will be there. Like, I'm not going to do it. Like, he's mean. And my best friend's like, get over it. Like, just come on, let's go. And so I was like, okay, fine. And so I luckily was doing the mirror exercise. I knew how to work through any upset that came up. And we were at the water park, and Elliot was in an upset. and I had asked him about it, and he was kind of snappy with me. So I decided to do a mirror exercise. And about 2 minutes later, he leaned over and he was like, I'll talk with you about it later. And I was just like, okay, like that's completely up to you. So we went on this ride, got off, went to go get, I decided I was going to go get a snow cone, and Elio decided he was going to join me. And so he had shared with me that he was moving through an upset regarding his previous relationship. And we both realized that we had been in relationships with people who were in a relationship with a married person. So we were both working through the same upset.
Mm-hmm.
And once we came to this realization, we just kind of started healing together in that moment. I remember telling him, like, your love is never wasted. And she is just like showing you something here. And as we went deeper into that conversation, there was a moment where I was like, this is so crazy that we both are working through this right now. Like, what if he's my twin flame? And then I shut that down so quickly, it wasn't even funny. Like, I was like, no, I'm not entertaining this. I'm currently exploring this false twin flame over here, and this is what God's showing me. So I'm 100% committed to going all in here. But yeah, so the rest of the trip, there was just this wall that went down for the both of us, and I could feel us kind of coming closer together. And then after that trip, we would get together with my best friend every few weeks for dinner. And this was kind of a big thing for me where I recognized every time I would see Eliud, he was changing. I could feel him changing. I could see the change in him. I was like, wow, this man is awake. He's very present with himself. He's very aware of his upsets as like he's doing the inner work. This is crazy. And I was like, man, I wish my my twin flame was like changing like this is how I felt. And it wasn't until the beginning of this year where I was with my false twin flame until March of this year. And at the beginning of this year of January, I told God, like, I desire to spend my birthday with my true twin flame. I don't want to do another birthday without my twin flame God. So March came, and on my birthday, I did not hear from my false twin flame. And he actually forgot it was my birthday. The Eliud was like, hey, what are we doing for your birthday? Are we going out for dinner? And I was like, yeah. So I met him and my best friend for dinner. Eliud paid for my dinner. He was very sweet and kind. And we even had a moment where I had told him, I was like, I forgive you. And he was like, forgive me for what? And I was like, for being such an ass to me in high school and even after high school, because he is a coach for drumline and I'm a coach for color guard. So we coached high school teams and then we would cross paths at competitions. And so I would see him in those competitions. And he just looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I shared with him and he just kind of stared at me and he was just like, first of all, I'm so sorry, but like I just can't stop staring at you. And I was just like, okay. And I felt really comfortable, even though like I wasn't very good at making eye contact with the divine masculine because it always made me feel uncomfortable. But with him, we just like stared in each other's eyes for like a minute. And then I was just like, are you okay? And he was like, yeah, I don't. And I just realized that that was when we had like another wall go down and we could clearly see each other. And so I, in that moment, recognized that I had feelings for him and I had to make the choice to just surrender what my twin flame union was going to look like. And I could feel that he had feelings for me too. That was a very deep feeling that I had there. So I finally let go of the false twin flame and I clearly told God, I want my husband. I desire for you to show me my husband, the man that you created for me, that I'm meant to spend the rest of eternity with. And later that day, I had reached out to Eliud and my best friend again and asked them if they wanted to get drinks. And Eliud was like, yep, I'll meet you in 30 minutes. And then as I'm walking out the door, my best friend's like, hey, sorry, can't meet you guys. And I was like, oh God, like this is the first time we're actually spending one-on-one time together. And so I wanted to like run and say no, like cancel. But I felt my feelings and I was just like, no, it's okay to like explore and just have a friendship and we're just gonna go get drinks. And so I got there and he was a complete gentleman. He pulled out my chair for me. He had already ordered me a drink. And what really fascinated me was how easy our conversation was and how relaxed I felt in his presence. And I just felt like I could just be myself. And I recognized it felt like I was just hanging out with myself and hanging out with my best friend. And so I was open to just being in his space and recognizing that we just had a lot in common and our conversation never like died down and we just continued to have deeper conversation. So that happened. And during that conversation, he had asked me if he could take me to go see a waterfall. That was about 4 hours away. And so he wanted to do a weekend trip with me. And I was like, you want to spend a weekend with me? Like, none of my false twin flames could spend more than like 4 or 5 hours with me, let alone like spend a whole weekend with me. So that's another indication. As a false twin flame cannot spend a lot of time in your space. But with a true twin flame, they want to be in your space, they desire to be in your space. So, yeah, we went on this trip. He planned the entire thing. And throughout the trip, he just started just naturally checking off my love list. And one of the biggest things that he had checked off was we were having a pretty intimate conversation. And he had told me, if there's something that is upsetting you or that you feel like you have to move through, please tell me so I can move through it with you because you don't have to move through it by yourself. And that was like one of my top 5 on my love list was I desire that my twin flame is open to healing and moving through any upset in our reality or in our consciousness. And so for him to say that was like a massive green flag. Like, okay, like he's 100% open to healing in this space with me. So that was kind of how that revealed itself after the trip. I couldn't deny my feelings and my experience. And so I expressed to him how I was feeling, and he said the feeling was mutual. He knew this whole time that I was a twin flame ascension coach. I just naturally spoke about twin flames to him, not thinking anything about it. So he was very aware, and I had just let him know that I would like to explore being twin flames with him. And he was the first person that was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So that's
Wow.
kind of how that unfolded.
Wow. So let me ask you a question about this. You shared a bit about what you've experienced with like all the false twin flames and now like with how it went
Yeah.
with your true twin flame. Actually, I have two questions. Let's start with the first one. How, with what you had experienced before, did you expect it to be this easy with your true twin flame, or did that come as a surprise?
It was such a surprise to where he kind of makes fun of me for it a little bit because like I'll ask him a question that I got so much resistance and pushback from like a false twin flame, and then I'll ask him and he's like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And I'm just like, what? And he's like, what did you expect me to say? And I was like, no, I expect you to say no or to like give me some type of pushback. And he was like, no, I desire to explore that too, or I desire to feel into that type thing. And so, yeah, I mean, you and your twin flame have the same desires, same core choices. And when I had made a core choice, that was a big thing was like, you mentioned gaslighting. There was a moment in time where I continued to gaslight myself in my core choices. Like, am I really making this core choice? Where am I not actually making it? And not really honoring that, like, no, I made the core choice and this is what I'm going with. And they're just not aligning with me here. But with your true twin flame, it's like breathing. They just align in that space with you.
Mm-hmm. So, like on a scale of difficulty, with 10 being really, really hard and 0 being the easiest, flowy, whatever thing, where were your false twin flame experiences and where was your experience with your true twin flame?
My false twin flames were anywhere between like an 8 and a 10.
Mm-hmm.
And with my true twin flame, it's anywhere between like a 0 and a 2. I want to say even some of our biggest upsets that have come up, they don't compare to some of my biggest upsets with a false twin flame. Just because I think I've done enough healing in a space to where I have really made the choice. It's on my love list as well, that my true twin flame gently shows me my upsets. I've, that's a very core choice of mine, and I choose to be very gentle with myself as I move through core upsets. That's something I had to learn by moving through my upsets with my false twin flames, because they're very contrastic and just very harsh.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with my true twin flame, like he's even just open to just having a conversation about the upset, and really helping me see where I'm out of alignment with love. He chooses to meet me in that space to show me where I'm out of alignment with love so that I can heal it, because at the core he desires to be with me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really love that, because I feel this realization of, like, I know, like, when I had my fourth swim film experience, and there was like like in the community, many people had fourth swim film experiences, and a lot of them were like in these fourth swim film experiences for a long time, because like it was kind of like this point where no one realized that it's actually meant to be easier than what it is. Like everyone, it was kind of this collective belief of, oh, it's really, really hard to be with your twin flame or come together with your twin flame. And that's why I really love what you're sharing, because in divine truth, your twin flame union is meant to be really easy and flow. And of course, there's upsets, and you need to know how to navigate it and be mastered with the inner
Right.
work. But like it
Right.
sounds that when you guys came together, you had mastered that, so that you can actually experience like the ease of your twin flame union as it's meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It is like right now we're really just learning how to truly deepen our friendship. Like that's a big core value of ours, is that we have a just a really deep, unbreakable friendship. And so we go on dates, we talk throughout the day. And with my false twin flames, it was like they only wanted to see me on their own terms when they chose that that was the right time for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it always felt like I was fighting for their attention or fighting to just even spend time with them. But my true twin flame was like, I want to spend time with you. I want to take you on a trip. I want to take care of everything. And he actually calls out my upsets like while I'm in them. That's another one, is that he just calls out my upsets. And sometimes I'm just like, I really wish you wouldn't do that. But I had a money upset where we went to a really fancy dinner, and I really desired to like pay for half the trip, because in my mind it wasn't like a date, but in his mind it was a date. And so I was like, just let me pay for half this trip. And he was like, you really have an upset with money, don't you? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, you have an upset with receiving. Like, just receive, Kanisha. Relax and receive, and let me just give to you in this place. And I was just like, okay. Like, and then I felt my feelings, and I was like, he's completely right. And I just surrendered and allowed God to give to me. And I chose to just receive God. And I just allowed my twin flame to give more to me in that space.
Mm, beautiful. Love that. Yeah, the twin flames, they do that.
I do that. Yeah,
He's made
absolutely. All
it.
the time.
He's made it from 10 miles away.
Yeah, it's that's been a big one for me, is really learning not to take personally what your twin flame does or says, because they are you and they're just mirroring what's in your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I tell him too, like I'll tell him when he's triggered me, and I'll do the mirror exercise in front of him. I say it out loud, and then I am able to like get to like, oh, I see what you're pointing out here. And then we come to a place of peace. And one of the things that really bothered him at first was that he did trigger me. He felt really responsible in that space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so as I chose to take full responsibility of my upsets, I just pointed out to him, like, you triggering me is requiring me to look at a space that's out of alignment with love. I choose to go into that space. I choose to love myself. By the time I'm done, I feel better. We're at a place of peace, and we're closer. Like that's how that goes. And so for him, he's just asked me to remind him of that sometimes, like, because the divine masculine just wants to protect their woman, and he wants to see her happy and just wants to love her. They don't ever desire to trigger you or upset you intentionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big piece, like this whole not taking it personally. I've had to hear that. Like we feel that in my union too, especially in the beginning where like you with your twin flame, like the closer you get, like the more you trigger each other. And it's really, really important to get to that place space, what you mentioned, to really see that it's a gift and it's there to help you
Yeah,
and it's not harming you. So important point. Thanks.
absolutely. Of course.
So, with your true twin flame, what is like, what else about it is really different to what you expected or what you experienced with false twin flames?
With my true twin flame, it never feels like we like stop talking. It always feels like we're going deeper into our conversations, deeper into the next level of where God is pointing out to us. It always seems like we're evolving, is really what it is. With false twin flames, it always felt like there was like the stop and go, take 100 step back,
Mhm.
and then go again.
Yep.
With a twin flame. Like when I feel into that, I'm like, oh, that was exhausting. With your true twin flame, I feel like you're always just like moving forward and moving deeper into love. And yeah, it's he's still helping me see where like I try to come at our relationship from a soulmate perspective. That does not work with your twin flame. And so I do recognize that there are still things that I'm still learning. I'm always going to be learning. I think that is really what's important is you're always going to be learning and going deeper with your twin flame. But that's really the biggest thing for me is that I always feel like I'm going deeper with him and learning with him, even when he's not in my space. That's
Mhm.
been a big one for me is I can explore our union without him having to physically be in my space to explore it.
Mhm. Mhm. Love that. It's
Hmm.
really cool because I feel like earlier we kind of got like this list of false twin flame red flags, and now we're kind of having like you mentioned all these points that are kind of like true twin flame green flags.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's much more peaceful. That's been a big thing for me is how peaceful our connection is, how relaxed I feel. Even when I'm in an upset, I can move through it fairly easy. He actually actually came to a coaching session of mine. That was a big one. Was that he was even open to coming to coaching with me when other people weren't even open to talking about an upset. This man
Mhm.
was like, "I'm going to show up here for you."
Mhm.
And I had to work through a really big upset of like him coming into my really vulnerable space. I'd never shared this space with someone before like this. And my core upset of being abandoned came up. And he held space for me. And he was very patient, he was very present. And then after my session, we had a moment where he was upset. And that's something I've had to learn is not to not technically not to be upset when he's upset, but to learn how to hold space for him
Mhm.
and to hold my peace for him while he's upset to help him move through it faster. And so, yeah, we were able to have kind of a hard conversation after that about what it really truly means to be twin flames. And I still had to let go of this belief that he was just gonna like abandon me and leave me. And he was just like, let's go to the park. Let's go spend some time outside in nature. Let's go like go do something fun. And I was like, okay. And so yeah, that was kind of a big milestone for me was to be able to be that vulnerable and to really share myself authentically and honestly and show him what it is that I do. And for him to still be like, no, I'm still on all in here. Like I still desire to explore here. And then after our session too, he was like, "Is you're an ascension coach? Is that what you do with your clients?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "That's absolutely amazing." He thought that was the coolest thing. He really finds what we do as ascension coaches as super important, and um, I love that my man loves that about me. So.
That's really cool.
Hmm.
So overall, with this entire journey that you've had to finding your true twin flame, if you look back at like the last 4 years that it was for you, what do you feel was the biggest lesson that you have learned from just everything?
That I'm enough, that my inner work is enough, that the steps that I'm taking is enough. I think that was something that I really had to ground into, is that even the most simplest of the mirror exercises that I had to do was more than enough to get me to where I desired. I think also having to let go of how it unfolded and when it was going to unfold. That's a big one for a lot of people. It's like, I just want it now. But if I were to have met him 4 years ago and had to experience all of that with him instead of a false twin flame, like, I don't know where that would have landed us, probably. But yeah, no, it was having to really come to the realization that I am worthy of having everything that I desire. And Jeff and Shalia show us how to do that. That's one of the things that I deeply appreciate about them, is how openly they share their journey with us. When they do the mirror exercise in front of us, or like, hey, like, for us to have what we're showing you, like, we have to do the same exact work that you do. And so that really helped me build deeper trust with my gurus,
Mm-hmm.
and really just see that, like, they're the real deal. They show us from beginning to end how to have what they have. And that was something that Jeff even had said to me, like, when you finally come to the realization that you are worthy and enough to have everything that you desire, then will you recognize your true twin flame and you'll attain your harmonious union.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Just like letting that sink in. That's a big one for a lot of people. Like what you just mentioned, feeling good enough and
Yeah,
mhm.
just feeling complete as your own. It was not that it felt like when Eliud came to, like, my life to really show me that he was my true twin flame, I was in this space where I was just like, I have God, and everything that I need is already here. And as I choose to just trust that and allow that to be enough for me, then it was just like all of a sudden he was there asking me to go spend the weekend with him.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
how easy it can be after you put in the inner work for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just want to mention, like, because like a lot of people that I've had on the podcast so far, like many have like this seemingly overnight success, but like the twin flame all of a sudden appears and they're in union and whatnot. But for everyone and for you too, you really, really with what you shared today shows that you've put in a lot of work over a lot of years, and everything that you've healed with false twin flame, as you mentioned, you didn't have to heal with your true twin flame, and you were able to
Right.
step into a peaceful, solid, grounded relationship with him where you can build and deepen your love.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Not comparing your journey to other people is going to be really important. Um, One of the people that I really looked up to in the community was Michaela.
Mhm.
And there was times where it like seemed like, wow, she's married to her twin flame. She has a very successful coaching business. Like, she's doing many things in the community. But when you go back to Twin Flame Ascension School and see the beginning of her journey, it's just like, wow, like, you see this massive transformation. And that took her time and many, 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 many episodes and mirror exercise to get to where she is now. And so that just really gave me hope to continue to just keep moving forward and really building the life that I desire, and know that God doesn't play favorites, like, oh, this person gets their twin flame and this person gets the life that they want. No, it's everyone gets the same opportunity. It's whether or not you take it.
Mhm. Amen to that. My very last question for you, because we are almost at the end, but yeah, the last question I have for you is if you could go back to the very beginning of your journey and let that version of yourself know something or give her a message, what would you tell her?
It's actually the same thing that my twin flame tells me, which I laughed when the first time he said it to me, but is You are going to be okay. Everything is going to be just fine, and you're going to be okay. And it's really about just learning how to love yourself unconditionally, and you get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. And
Absolutely.
thank you for being my guest today and joining me
Mm.
on for this podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I think it was a delight listening to your journey and yeah, all the insights you had to share. And I feel like this is just, yeah, going to benefit a lot of people listening to this to really, navigate this whole journey of transcending false twin flames, revealing false twin flames, and finding the true twin flame. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
And for everyone who has been listening, I thank you for listening. And I invite you to head over to twinflamesuniverse.com, where you can find all of the products and classes to support you in manifesting a harmonious twin flame union. We also have a free twin flame introduction course over there at twinflamesuniverse.com. So feel free to sign up for that. And yeah, I can just highly recommend that. It consists of 8 lessons that are really amazing and really help you to have a solid foundation when it comes to the journey and really know what it is and how to kind of have a great start into it. And we will be next week with another episode. And in the meantime, I wish all of you many blessings on your journey into harmonious union.